the saddest thing you were paid to do that left you questioning everything in the end? I was scrolling through Craigslist looking for odd jobs when I found the weirdest post I'd ever seen. Cry at my funeral for $200. It had to be a joke, but in my experience, it was always the weird post that got me paid, so I sent out a text and scheduled a meetup. Well, it wasn't a joke. The lady, Elaine, slid a $100 bill across the table, rolled up the same way sketchy dealers do it, and smiled. That's your deposit. The other 100 comes after you ugly cry at my funeral in about 6 weeks. I sat there still completely lost. Elaine was still in her 30s and honestly really healthy looking, if not a little exhausted around the eyes. Your funeral in 6 weeks? I asked. She nodded. Yes. The doctors gave me between 4 to 6 weeks before pancreatic cancer cuts my life short. I know it sounds morbid, but I have no family left to mourn me, and my friends are too shallow to care. I just want to go out knowing at least one person is willing to cry for me when I'm gone. I couldn't say no. I felt terrible. I can cry. I'm really good at crying, I reassured her. Elaine giggled at my enthusiasm. You can't just show up and cry about nothing, she said. You need to know me, have specific memories to sob about. So for a few hours this weekend, I'd meet her and just hang out, taking pictures and videos together like we'd been friends for years. This is me at camp, she said, pointing to a scrawny kid with braces. My parents put me here hoping I'd learn to swim, but it only made me more terrified of the water. She handed me more stacks of old photo albums, introduced me to each person like I was an open diary, and it was weirdly peaceful getting to hear her life story. She pulled out a dusty binder at the next hangout and grinned. This is my literal bucket list. The first few pages were filled with adventures I never would have expected from her. Cave exploration, deep sea diving, pictures in front of the Egyptian pyramid. You're amazing, I told her. She gave a sad smile. Kinda sad that all those adventures end here. Anyway, let's not wallow in sadness. I have something you need to learn from me. She pulled out her phone and opened up Spotify. This is for the funeral playlist. My best friend in the whole world should at least know my favorite songs. She grinned at me. She placed her camera on and held out her hand when Endless Love started playing. Let's dance. We swayed in her tiny apartment, her head against my chest. The smell of her cinnamon shampoo filled my head. Can I tell you something? She asked softly. I act all happy like this, but I'm terrified. She buried her face in my shirt, tears staining it lightly. For what it's worth, I think you're brave, and I'm glad I can call you a friend, I whispered back, and I meant it. We spent the next few weekends trying to fill up a small photo album, going to restaurants, local concerts, and events together. Things that I never really cared about just felt so right when it was done with her. But she was getting weaker, losing weight, moving slower, wincing whenever she thought I wasn't looking. Our hangouts moved from her living room to her bedroom, just sitting there by her bed watching movies with her head on my shoulder, talking and taking pictures together for the funeral before she needed to rest again. It was heartbreaking watching someone so full of life slowly lose it all. One night, after a particularly bad day, she turned to me and said, I wish we'd met in my healthy years. We could have had something real. When I leaned in to kiss her, she turned her face. Please, don't fall for a dying woman, she whispered. It's the worst investment you'll ever make, and it'll only make me feel even more helpless. I should have done it anyway. That next morning, I received a call from her lawyer informing me that Elaine had passed in her sleep with the funeral set in 2 days. I thought I was ready, but the news of her passing hurt more than anything I'd ever experienced. I showed up at the funeral home in my only suit. The funeral director handed me a program with one of our selfies on the cover. Elaine had listed me as her dearest friend in the obituary. The tears that came were real. I sobbed through the entire eulogy, talking about all her adventures, the dancing, the other memories we'd made. But I shouldn't have cried for her, because months later inside one of the restaurants she loved, I spotted her in the corner of the room. I wasn't even sure if it was her at first. She was blonde now instead of brunette, healthy instead of sick. But from her sweet laughter and charming smile, I knew it was her. Our eyes met across the room. Full story on channel, link below.